All right, what is up, guys? So today we are doing service to all of my vehicles. Over here we have my 2009 F250. It is a 6.4 liter Power Stroke diesel. It is getting some new sensors and a full service. My middle car here is a 2016 Ford Fiesta. I'll give you a little bit of history on that in a minute. And it is just getting a straight up oil change. And then my Tacoma over here is getting a straight up oil change as well. So let me explain to you a little bit more about these vehicles. All right, so this here is a 2009 Ford F250 King Ranch with a 6.4 liter Power Stroke diesel. I've had this for a little over a month, just bought it recently. It's been a fantastic truck, and it's my workhorse. Been great for pulling trailers, doing all my work needs, and like I said, it's just getting a straight up oil change. I've been having a little bit of issues with some fuel economy, and I think that is going to be resolved by a new air filter, a new mass airflow sensor, and some injector cleaner that I've run through. This car I hold very near and dear to me. It's a 2016 Ford Fiesta. I actually bought this car for $1,200 with a blown up motor. And I went and bought a new remanufactured motor from Ford, put it in there, and put a new turbo, a new transmission, new driveline along with that. The car has 260,000 miles on it, but the motor, transmission, turbo, and driveline only has 22,000, which I've put all of those miles on myself. So it's a great car. It's a 3-cylinder turbo, gets about 47 miles to the gallon on the open highway. And yeah, can't beat it for road trips. Of course, the infamous taco. This thing is kind of my adventure mobile when I go mountain biking, go camping, go skiing, all the things. I leave all my stuff in it. It's ready to roll. We just jump in it and go. This thing has been phenomenal. I've had this for a little over 2 years, and it's been a process to get it where it's at, but yeah, it's kind of my baby, and I love that thing. This thing's just getting a straight up oil change and a new filter, and yeah. All right, so here we have all of our stuff laid out that we need to do this oil change on all three of these vehicles, but we're starting with the F250. So this thing is just getting an oil change. I'm putting a new MAF sensor in it, and it's getting a new air filter, but that has not come in yet. So I will be installing that at a later date. But as for now, we've got fuel filters, oil filter, MAF sensor that will be going on this. There's the Tacoma oil filter, Fiesta oil filter, and I will be pulling a used oil analysis on that truck. So this is a homemade oil pit that I made, and I have one wheel on the concrete. I've got one on a railroad tie and a spacer block that I built. And then you just crawl up in there and put your buckets down and collect your oil. It works very well for a low budget option, but you don't have to have the fanciest stuff. You just got to be creative and use your brain a little bit. So that's what I love. All right, step one, drain the oil. So just lay out here on some cardboard like this. Get your favorite socket here and crack her loose. I think that's what size that is. Huh. Ooh, good grief. Somebody really wrenched that in there. There we go. Got her loose. Now comes the fun part. Can we do this without absolutely getting coated in oil? This is kind of a... There we go. Yes, sir. All right, nice and black. This thing is definitely due. Look at that. Very, very dark. So, all right, we're gonna let that drain a while. And while that's draining, we are going to go pull the oil filter and fuel filter out of the top. So we will come, nice little drain there. And yeah, you can see that this thing, I don't have any metal on it, which is always a very good sign. That's always a positive. But we're gonna get some paper towels, clean this thing up, and we're gonna get the fuel filters and oil filters pulled out of up there. So, all right, so while that oil is draining, we are going to pull the oil and fuel filters that are cartridge style, and they are both right here. And so, yeah, we're gonna pull these now. All right, so this one here, I'm gonna pop this off. And this one right here is our fuel filter. Very good. The other one is our oil filter. So let's see here. There is one of the fuel filters. There is a second one also. And that looks very nice and clean, so that is very positive in terms of there's no metal shavings, which that's a very bad sign if you see that. So I'm gonna take this thing, flip this thing up, and we'll go take that to the table when we get a minute here. And I'm also going to take this one out. And this is the oil filter, which appears to be long overdue. Alright, that's not good. I just spilled a bunch of diesel fuel out of that filter all over the side of that thing there and there. So I'm gonna have to clean that up a little bit. But let's go back over here and we can see our oil filter is definitely long overdue, and so is our fuel filter. So yeah, we'll crack at it and get these things swapped. All right, so here we have our new oil and new fuel filters. I'm doing this over here because this is very dirty and I can't particularly say that I want that all over the driveway. So we're gonna take our old fuel filter and oil filter, and I'm gonna put this, shift you over a little bit, take this whole thing out if I can. There we go. Let's get these new filters installed. So here is our fuel filter first, and we're gonna get that thing in there with the new O-ring and get that thing sitting on there. And we'll tighten that down. And then here's our new oil filter. That's gonna go on here, go nicely down in there, and it also has a spring tensioner on it, so we'll get that started and tightened up. So I know I should be more precise about it. Since I went to diesel mechanic school, I should be more proper, but you know, it's okay. All right, there's that one. Get this one done up. The fuel filter is always under more pressure than the oil filter. Oh, sheesh. Get this thing to tighten up here a little bit. All right, there we go. There, I felt it get a little bit tight, so we'll put a little bit extra on it here, just like this. If I can get this thing to sit on there, good grief. All right, there we go. All right, let's get this drain plug back installed in here. Put this thing back in. Get a paper towel and clean this up. And then we can put some fresh oil in. There we go. There's our drain plug all nice and tightened up. Now let's go put some more on this thing. Alright, so for this oil change, I'm going to be using Convoy 15W40 CK4. This stuff is fantastic. I'll pull up some statistics here in a little bit, but we had a vehicle do 22,000 miles on an oil change and had less wear in the used oil analysis than conventional oil on a standard 5,000 mile interval. So this stuff is top of the line, best kept secret in America. And if you'd like to get some, you can pick it up on my website, peakviewsupply.com. It's not up yet, but when it is, I will let you guys know, and you can pick it up for yourself. So let's get this stuff in here. Very good Convoy, and we're gonna get this stuff dumped in here and make this thing run like a top thing. This thing takes 15 quarts, so quite a large system. But it's about 3.75 gallons. This is 2.5 gallons, so we'll dump this in first, and then we'll go dumping the rest in. There's one in. All right, here's jug number 2, and we need to put half of this. So we already dumped 2.5 gallons in, and this is another 2.5. We only need 1.25 gallons to get us to our 3.25. So I'm gonna stick a little less than half and check the oil, and then I will add accordingly. So let's get this dumped in here. All right, which more than that? All right. All right, so while we were draining the oil, I pulled this dipstick out just as an air vent. And so now I'm going to put it back in, and we're gonna check this oil level. So make sure that we are nice and clean first. And it looks like we are. And I'm going to give it just a second for it to run down. Alright, and it looks like we are at the full mark. Alright, so this right here is your mass airflow sensor. Of course, it's in your intake boot into your turbo. And the only reason I'm replacing this is because one of the things that can cause poor fuel mileage is if your airflow is reading incorrectly and telling your engine to send more fuel than it needs to. So I had checked this previously and wanted to double check before I spent the money to replace it. This sensor was $270, which is kind of absurd. But if it fixes my problem, it'll pay for itself just in increasing my fuel mileage back to what it should be. I should be getting around 14, 15 around town, and you can see that's kind of dirty and plugged up. And so that could be part of the issue. The only reason that these would plug up is if this, which I don't know because I just bought the truck, but if they swap this sensor over from the stock intake when this thing still had the emissions on it, the EGR, or exhaust gas recirculation, could cause soot to fly back up in this thing and clog this thing up to make it read incorrectly, which is kind of what I'm convinced is happening. So, right here, I have my nice, fresh, new sensor, and as you can see, it's just a tad bit cleaner than the old one. So, we're going to install this right back up in here with this new seal, and I'm also going to clean out the air filter here, and we're going to hope that that fixes my bad fuel mileage issue. If not, I'm going to have to do some more digging. I'll bring you guys along the way. That's part of the journey, but I think it's always fun to, I like messing with stuff. I say messing, I like fixing things. Something's broken, you know, tear it apart, and even if you can't fix it, you still learn something. Often, too many times, you know, people will work on something and say, oh, I wasted my time. Did you, though? Did you learn something? Because if you did, you really didn't waste your time. So, my little word of advice for the day. Has this nice band clamp in here. I'm going to take this out, or at least loosen it a little bit. Alright, there we go. And then we're going to remove said air filter. Alright, there we go. Alright, first startup. Got all of our temperatures. Get this thing key up here. Let the glow plugs run. There she is. Runs like a top. Very good. Alright, we're gonna let this thing idle for a little bit. Go check the oil again and move on to the next one. Alright, so 250's all done and buttoned up and parked away down in there. So all nice and tidied up and done there. And now we move on to the next vehicle, the Fiesta. So this one's just getting a straight oil change. We've got all of our stuff here. There's our filter again. More oil. So let's crack at it. Alright, so I've got everything ready to go. We've got our filter here. I had the other one, but that was wrong. I always put these cannons on here because they have the 1-inch socket on here, which makes them way easier to get on and off in this tight space. So I've got that, got my paper towels ready, and we're gonna get this thing off and on here as fast as we can without causing problems. we'll let that run down in, check the oil, see where we're at. I've got my handy dandy oil checking device that we're gonna stick in here and see where we're at. So, as we can see right there, you can see we're slightly over the full mark, if you can see that there. And that is good, but because by the time that we run it and it gets through the oil filter, we will be back down to normal levels. So that is good, and we are going to put that back in. We're going to collect our oil cap there, put our cap back in, and that's all there is to it. There's another one done. I personally love doing oil changes. I think they're fun. I don't get to do them that often because we run this great oil and you just get like double or triple the lifespan. I mean, in some cases, quad. You know, if you change your oil at a standard 5,000 mile interval and you can start running this stuff and get 20,000 miles on an oil change, you only spend a fourth the price. It saves you a lot of money. I like that, but you know, different strokes for different folks. All right, let's start this thing up. See how she runs. All right, clutch in. First start. There we go. Very good. Purrs like a kitten. Tell you what, nothing runs like a Ford, that's for sure. Alright, so got the other two vehicles done, the F-250 and the Fiesta. Funny thing enough, I just went and checked my logbooks for my vehicle maintenance records, and this thing is actually not due for an oil change yet. So this thing currently is only at 7,800 miles on the oil change. And that's not due for it yet. I routinely run between 12 and 17,000 on an oil change, depending on what I'm doing, and have had very clean test results. So I am not going to change this one yet. I'm going to keep running it the way it is. And, yeah. So, the Fiesta had 14,000 miles on that oil change, and that F-250, this is the first oil change that I have done since I've owned it. So, good to get that old junky oil out of there and get some premium Conklin stuff in there. So, all of my vehicles are up to date, which is fantastic. This one will come later. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will keep you up to date on future updates about what is going on with all of my vehicles and whatever builds are going on. But I hope you really enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.